Hi, I'm Debra, business owner and mom to Gen Z kids on a mission to make sure they get hired and become financially independent as soon as possible. If you're a parent wanting to get your kids hired or a new job seeker desperately trying to get hired, this show is for you, and I am so glad you're here. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit more about internship and job follow-up and what to really look for. I'm going to share a story that is unfortunate, but I think it's relevant, and I think that everybody needs to hear it because if others can learn from this, then it has value. So here's the deal. I did a couple shows previously. I can't remember what episode it was. It was the one about persistence, where I was talking about the value and the importance of following up post-applying. And when I say post-applying, I mean whether you're applying to an internship or a job, follow-up is required. So just to reiterate, and I do encourage you to go back and listen to that other show because I really dive deep into it, but what I'm trying to unpack a little bit more here is if you think that you can just apply and then go, I applied, that is incorrect. That is literally where your first step is. And then there are multiple steps beyond that. But one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is I just heard from some of my son's friends that they are like, hey, we've applied to over 70 internships and we haven't heard anything. And so, that is a sad common denominator that is very true. And I truly believe that one of the main reasons for that, I believe there's a couple reasons, but I do believe that one of the main reasons for that is because they aren't doing the follow-up. Because of course I say to these kids, well, after you're applying, what are you doing after that? And they're like, what do you mean? What are we doing after that? So there definitely is a real disconnect here with, they don't know what they don't know. And they don't realize that it does require so much more work than just uploading your cover letter and resume and hitting apply. It's not enough. The world is far too competitive. So I mentioned there's a couple reasons. So one of the things I want to mention here is I do see a lot goings on in this community of students reaching for the stars. And while that's admirable, I just want to make sure that they understand that there are other opportunities to apply for that aren't SpaceX, Netflix, Google, and Apple. Those are certainly the prize in the sky and would be so phenomenal to have on your resume. And if you can do it, absolutely do it. And by the way, the same process applies to applying to things like that too. However, I just want to make sure that we're setting expectations, because if you're only applying to giant companies like that, like Pepsi, Coke, all these big companies, and you're constantly getting ignored, I really encourage you to just drop it down a bit and go after smaller companies, because you're going to have much more of an intimate connection with a smaller company, especially when it comes to follow-up, than you will with a big brand. So again, the things I'm going to discuss today apply to everything, internships, jobs of all levels in terms of follow-up. However, be sure to set your expectations, because I hate to see students going, even students like in the finance world, and they're like, oh, I'm applying to Morgan Stanley and all these, Charles Schwab and big companies, and they're just not getting anywhere. And I think that those aren't typically low-hanging fruit unless your resume is so kick-ass or someone. And not to say that you can't get it on your own merit without those two things. You certainly could. It's harder. So anyway, I just want to point out that applying to the smaller companies has value too. There's still a lot to be learned. And again, it's just experience to add to your resume, whether it's an internship or a job. I tell my kids all the time, your first job is not going to be your favorite job, and that's okay. You have to start somewhere. You have to pay some dues. You have to gain some experience. And sometimes you have to start at the bottom to do that. So again, it might not be the pie in the sky company that's impressive to have on a resume, and that's okay. As long as you're gaining some experience and it's a positive work environment and all of that, and you're getting paid, I think it has value. So anyway, okay. So that being said, I have been helping my son a great deal with regards to applying to internships. I was working with him pretty intently on a Zoom call one day, and we were going through, I was helping him pick things that I think would be interesting for him. He was showing me ones that he had flagged. He's applying to them, uploading his cover letter and resume, and then I'm walking him through and showing how to follow up post applying. And so in one circumstance, he was applying to a smaller company. And so we immediately went and he followed that company on LinkedIn. And the next thing I advised him to do is to immediately connect with all of the people that either attend his school or are alumni from his school that worked there. So connect with all those people and make sure you're not just connecting, you're sending a little message. So he was sending messages like, hey, I noticed you're alum from, the U, and I just applied to this internship, and it looks like such an incredible opportunity, and I wondered what your experience was like working at the company. Things of this nature. And he did this to about 15 different people that were either current students or alumni that happen to work at this company, which is a lot, so that's cool. And it happens to be based in Salt Lake City. And almost everyone responded to him, which is awesome. Because that's what you want. You want to connect. So they all accepted his, connection. And the ones that responded basically responded in kind with, oh, hey, great to hear from you. Yeah, I really like working here. It's a great opportunity. I started with an internship and they hired me afterwards. So really good insight that he's gleaming from these connections. Great. So next step was to figure out who was doing the hiring. So we did a bit of a deep dive into the company, which was not difficult because sure enough, as we were going over the photos of all of the employees, one in particular had the hiring banner on her photo. Ding, ding, ding. Easy to figure out. Okay, so he connected with her, sent her a direct message saying, hey, I just wanted to reach out. I just applied to the internship. The company looks incredible. I would love to learn more about how I can contribute. Simple. She replied almost immediately within a few hours and said, thank you so much for getting in touch. I will forward this along to our team and somebody should reach out to you soon with more information. Wow. Literally gold. So awesome. Okay. So now here's where the story comes in. I don't know what it is about this generation, but they are seemingly email adverse. So that company reached out within 24 hours to set up an interview. And he didn't check his email. So he missed it. And I know for a fact that he is not the only one in this situation. However, it's maddening to anyone listening, I'm sure, because you're like, no, because of course we all want happy endings. A lesson, no doubt. Sometimes lessons have to be learned the hard way. My point is today, not only is follow-up important, but if you do not check your emails, everything you're doing is counterintuitive. They get so ingrained in their Snapchat world and all this other nonsense that it's just like their emails, I feel like, are filled with like DoorDash advertisements and Grubhub advertisements and Apple advertisements, and yet there's no real substance in there, so they just typically ignore it. But if you are looking for an internship or a job and you are not checking your email multiple times a day, you will be screwed. So let this be a lesson. Everyone, students, parents, tell your kids, check your email, please. Okay, the other takeaway here is make sure you are being fastidious about the companies that you are applying to. Remember, it's not critical that you have a big name on your resume. While that's wonderful, and I think it's awesome if you can do it, if it's not working, go after the small companies too and really nurture them. The other thing to do on LinkedIn when you're nurturing that contact is look on the company's posts and engage with them. Like their posts, comment on them, because whoever is monitoring their social media, their LinkedIn, is seeing that and they're like, oh, hey, who's this kid? Anyway, All right. I hope you have found this episode helpful. And remember, I am a mom. I'm in this. I feel your pain. If any of this resonates with you, we are all in this together. And I will be back next week with a new topic. Take care.